Hello everybody, my name is Keith Glock. I am one of the counselors at Montgomery High School, and I am very happy to welcome you to our presentation on the college application process for the class of 2025. I appreciate you guys giving up some time in the middle of your day for those of you watching it live, and for those of you catching it on the replay, obviously appreciate it just the same. I'm going to take you through everything that was presented to the students last Friday the 13th and this previous Monday the 16th. They met with us in groups out of their English class, and they were able to get all this information, and now it's posted for them in their guidance Google Classroom, and I believe the senior class Google Classroom as well. So without further ado, let's bring everything to you. There is a logical order in the way that I am presenting the steps to you. The rationale for that order, I think, will become apparent as we go through this, because I'm going to harp on it quite a bit. But doing everything in the order that I'm asking you to do it is actually pretty important. The first thing, let's set some goals for today. We are going to leave here basically understanding what the role of students and parents is, what the role of counselors is, and what teachers are asked to do. I will actually show you exactly how students are supposed to complete their tasks. I'm going to touch on any hot button topics that we know are out there, and if there's any questions, you can just pop them right into the chat, and hopefully we can get most of them answered as we are going along here live. Okay. So first thing that we want to do, it's actually the first two are kind of pretty similar. One is a student responsibility, and one is for you, the parents, a parent responsibility. It is the student brag sheet and the parent point of view. They are located in Naviance. And what are they, you would ask? They are quite simply a couple of questions. They should confirm what we probably already know about our students as counselors. The only people who get to see the answers to these questions are the counselors. The teachers do not have access. They certainly do not go over to colleges at all. So, complete sentences are not necessarily necessary, and you should not spend forever answering these questions. But, certainly they are something that we feel is important to write the letter of recommendation. So where are they? What does it look like? How do we get there? First thing you do, if you go to the high school website, you'll see departments here, and we're going to mouse over and click on counseling and guidance. Then over here on the left hand side, you see Naviance login. I'm going to click on that guy, and that'll take us to the student account that we have, and I have my student account set up here. So I log in. Once you are logged into Naviance, if you click on About Me up here at the top, you'll see something over here that says Surveys from your school. We're going to go ahead and click that. And then here in the middle, you see Parent Point of View. And here it is, just a couple of quick questions for you to be able to answer. So let's head back over here for a moment. And I'm going to give you a professional tip. Do not, and there's a screenshot of it as well, do not type directly into those boxes on that Naviance webpage. Go to a Google Doc or a Word document and type the answers to those questions in a Word document, and then go ahead and paste them all in at one time, because if you take too long to do it within the Naviance window, it will log you out, and you will not have any of your work that you typed in there saved, and you will have to start over. So we want to make sure we avoid that for everybody at all costs. So now what we've done effectively by doing the student brag sheet and the parent point of view is we have armed the counselors with the ability to write a letter of recommendation. We are going to take a combination of what we already know about our students and then confirm it with that information in the brag sheet and parent point of view, and we would be ready to go to write a letter, assuming all the rest of these steps are complete. Next thing that we have to have is a common application account. We recognize that not everybody will use the common application for all of their applications, but it would be rare in 2024 to find a student who does not have any colleges that they're applying to using the common application. And as you'll see as we go through this, we are a big proponent of using the common application, both because it is easier for you on the student's end, and it is certainly better in terms of the ancillary items that you get with using the common application, and I'll get to those in a little while. I'm not going to take you through exactly how to create a Common App account. I think that everybody can kind of figure that out, but I will show you. You are going to go to commonapp.org and you'll click up here to create an account. That is how that works. So heading back to our presentation, once you've created that Common Application account, there are two things that students need to do within that account. The first thing that they're going to have to do is complete the FERPA authorization, which stands for Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Completing this authorization essentially gives us as counselors the legal right to send, material about the students to colleges. Transcripts, letters of recommendation, school profile, all of that. That's what that FERPA authorization essentially does. And then we need to marry our Naviance and our Common Application account. And that is also done very, very easily. So let me show you both of those items. So if we are in our Common Application account, first year students, I already do have an account. I believe this is the password. No, maybe not. Nope. I guess I just typed it in wrong the first time. I apologize. So you'll see here that I have my dashboard comes up, and there are two schools already preloaded into my dashboard, Stockton and TCNJ. If it's the first time that you are logging into your Common App account, there will not be any schools here, so you just need to add at least one. And you just do that by clicking on My Colleges and then Add a College. Once you start typing in here, you'll see that anything that could populate does, and then you would just click the Add button over here on the side. So in order to complete the FERPA authorization, you'll see as you add schools to My Colleges, it populates down the left-hand side of the screen here. It does not matter at all which school you use to complete this authorization. It will populate throughout all the schools that are there now and any that you add in the future. So if I just click on Stockton and expand that, you'll see Recommenders and FERPA right here underneath. And we're going to go ahead and click that, and then we're going to click to complete the release authorization. So you click that you have read that and that you acknowledge. And now students have a decision to make here. This essentially is translated as, I am waiving my right to ever view any letters of recommendation written about me. This one says, I do not waive my right to review any of those recommendations. Understand here this may lead counselors and teachers to decline to write letters of recommendation. We are going to, as counselors, write letters of recommendation for all of our students, but there may be teachers that choose not to write a letter of recommendation if they see that a student has not waived their right. So obviously can't tell anybody what to do, but my recommendation would be to waive your right to view the recommendations, and then understand that, you sign it, and then save and close there. And that will be complete. So now you have done that. We need to match our Common Application and our Naviance accounts. So that's no problem at all. I am now back here in my Naviance account. And if I just click on colleges and colleges I'm applying to, you'll see up top here, there's a spot, it's in red. Red means bad, so let's match the accounts and we would turn it green. So I would just type in my Common Application login there and click sign in, and then it would take me to a screen and ask me if I want to match, and I would say yes, and then I would be all matched and ready to go, and those steps would be complete for me. So let's take some stock now in what we have already done. We have armed the counselor with the ability to write a recommendation with the completion of the brag sheet in the parent point of view. We have a Common Application account. We've authorized through the Common Application that it is legally okay to send information, and we have matched our Common App and Naviance accounts, so now we have the logistical ability to send that information to colleges. So now what is next? Next is your students are going to indicate to the counselor where they should send that material. And they do that by building their colleges I'm applying to list. When students do this, and I'll take you back over here and show you. Again, we are in our Naviance screen and we're in that colleges I'm applying to. So now let's say I want to apply to the College of New Jersey. We'll see it there. It will ask me which deadline to which I am applying. And I'll say regular decision, November 1. And I'm applying via the Common App, obviously. Yes, I am planning to submit my scores, but I have not submitted my application yet. That's fine. So this is where it becomes very important. When we do this for every one of the schools, you see here I have the ability to click Add Application or Add and Request Transcript. We are always going to select Add and Request Transcript. We are going to request an initial transcript because we don't even know if we need a mid-year transcript yet. Colleges would let us know at the mid-year if that is something that we wanted. And then we would click Request and Finish. The reason why we are going to be so bullish about clicking that Request and Finish is that there has to be a transcript request attached to each of these schools. Why is that important? Well, logically, you would think, yeah, I would like my transcript sent to that school, but much more logistically than that. When the students click Add and Request Transcript, that sends an automatic notification to us as counselors from Naviance. It basically says, Keith Glock has added schools to his colleges I'm applying to list. It is now time for you as a counselor to prepare all that other documentation. Transcript, letter of recommendation, school profile. If the students do not click that Add and Request Transcript button, the counselor will have no ability to know that a student has altered their college list at all. So this is a huge step in this process in order to make sure that all of that supporting documentation gets to colleges. When we submit that stuff as a counselor, that transcript, the letter of recommendation from the counselor, and the school profile all get put into one PDF file and they get sent. The counselor letter of recommendation does not count as one of the recommendations required by the college. So if they say 2 academic teachers, the counselor letter is in addition to those 2 teachers. Colleges are just very used to getting that information from counselors, so it has become part of the application packet. Hopefully that's pretty clear. And obviously I just talked about this. So now we do not allow general requests for teacher letters, so I'm going to show everybody in a second how we get to our teacher letters, because that's one of the last steps involved in this. But again, before we do that, let's take stock again of what we've done, because so I can reinforce the order of operations. We've armed the counselor with the letter of recommendation material by the brag sheet and parent point of view being complete. We have a common application account, which we have authorized legally to allow counselors to send documentation, and we have linked them in Naviance, so this way now we have the logistical ability to do it. We've listed the schools to which we are applying, and we have requested a transcript, which has alerted the counselor it is time to start this process for this particular student and get that going. Once we get that email from Naviance that says Keith Glock has added schools to his colleges I'm applying to list, the first thing that I do when I have moments free to begin that process for that student is I go and look, did the student complete the student brag sheet and parent point of view? If not, I cannot even begin the process for that student. So that's why we have that listed first. If I write the letter and then I upload it along with the transcript, and then I go to send it, and the student has not matched their common application account with their Naviance account, I now hit another roadblock. I physically cannot click the button. It won't let me if you have not authorized that FERPA authorization and linked to those accounts. So that's why we ask you to do that in that order. All those things being done before you request transcripts for any of the schools. The last phase of this process as it relates to Naviance is, now that you have that other documentation in order, is requesting teacher letters of recommendation. And I'm going to show you how to accomplish that here. You do that by, again, from our home screen. If you click on colleges, you see letters of recommendation here. Once you go to add a teacher request, you will see that any of the schools that you have in your colleges I'm applying to list populate themselves right here in the middle of the screen. So first thing you gotta do is select a teacher. So I'll select Mr. Belusu because he's my man. And you will see that the College of New Jersey has 0 required letters of recommendation and 3 of them allowed. So you can send as many as 3 recommendations to TCNJ, and you should drop a note here and just click submit. Before I would submit though, I want to call your attention to some things here. The first is that 0 are required here and 3 are allowed for the College of New Jersey. We give the guidance to our students that they should be asking no more than 2 teachers for letters of recommendation. And the reason why we do that is because there's really no place in the country that I know of that requires more than 2 teacher letters of recommendation. So if you're asking yourself, well, 3 are allowed here, I want to ask 3, the thing that we're going to ask of you is that you don't do that because our teachers may set self-imposed quotas on the number of letters of recommendation that they are going to write in any given year. So if, for example, you ask 3 teachers for letters of recommendation, you may be taking a spot from another one of your classmates that they're looking for one of their first 2. So just being a good citizen and kind of being aware of the situation around us, we are going to say, hey, maximum 2 teachers there. And for a school like TCNJ, which allows more than 2, if you have an outside coach or like your dance teacher or something like that, you can invite them directly through the Common Application, and they will just link right into your application and send it when you send it. So for Montgomery folks, and this is a pretty important piece of the puzzle, any employee that works at Montgomery, we need to be requesting teacher letters of recommendation in Naviance, not in Common App. I'm going to say that again. Montgomery employees, whether they're at the high school or they are at a different school, if they work at Montgomery, they have access to Naviance. We are requesting teacher letters through Naviance. The reason is because if we request a Montgomery employee through the Common Application itself and they accept it, it messes up their entire Naviance account and removes their ability to send letters of recommendation not only for that student via Naviance, but also for every other student that they might need to send a letter of recommendation for. And it is very difficult to undo. It's a long, arduous process on the phone with Naviance to get them to undo it. And it's not something that we want anybody to do. Or on the phone with Common Application, I should say. It's not something that we want them to do. So now once we've done that, the process that we need for the counselors and the teachers to ensure that transcripts, letters of recommendation, and the school profile get to where they need to be is complete. So when do you need to complete it? We need the kids to do this process and not the application. The application does not need to be complete 15 school days in advance of their first deadline. Just the process that we've talked about in this presentation is what needs to be completed 15 school days prior to their first application deadline. So how do I know when that is? Well, I've created a handy chart for you. So if students know that the first deadline that they are applying to is a November 1 deadline, steps 1 through 7 in this process need to be completed by October 11th. If that happens, I assure you, we are going to get everything where it needs to be by the time it needs to be there. Absolute, I give you the guarantee. After they're done with this part, the only thing they need to do now is complete the actual application. If you have a choice to use the Common Application or use a school's application, we're going to ask that you use the Common Application. We really, really like the Common Application, and I alluded to this earlier, so let me explain a little bit more now. Because we've married Naviance and Common App in step 4.5, what we did before, we now have access to a lot of like peace of mind operations. Did the school get it? Did they download it? It gives us a download code. These things are not available when you use the school's own application. Also, it's just a time saver to use the common application. Schools do not prefer their own application over the common application. It's totally fine. So this is going to happen, and I just want to bring your attention to it, because when it happens, I just want you to not freak out. Students are going to follow the directions. They're going to have this process that I'm detailing today done within 15 school days of their first application, and they are going to submit the application on time. And then you're going to get an email that says, urgent. We do not have your counselor letter of recommendation, your high school transcript, the school profile, and you are going to be frustrated. You're going to see this and say, I followed the directions. I don't understand how this could not be there. What is going on? And then either you or the students are going to fire off an email to the counselor and say, what happened? When this happens, do not panic. All that means, if you have followed the steps in this process, all it means is that the application has been received and their computer system is searching for the other materials, and they have to match them up to your child's application. It takes them a little while to do that. It's sadly not Amazon, and everything doesn't happen like that, unfortunately. So please do not freak out when this happens. When you get this email, just wait. Wait 7 days. This was the instruction that I gave to the students. They are going to wait 7 days, and then they, not you, but them, your child, is going to pick up the phone and call the admissions department if they are looking at the portal that the school has made them create after their application has been submitted, and they still don't have that updated to say that the material is there. You're going to have your child call and say, can you check and make sure that this stuff is there, because it's showing that it was sent on my end in Naviance. They're going to check. They're going to say, yes, we have it, thank you, and then that's going to be the end of it. So I wanted to bring your attention to it because it's going to happen to most everyone watching this. Some schools don't take the common application. If they don't, that's fine. Use whatever application you have to, whether that's the school's own application or the coalition application, which is just another kind of common app-esque type application system, where the coalition application is accepted by a bunch of schools in the country, though certainly not nearly as many as the common app. Standardized test scores. If we are sending SAT or ACT scores to a school, you as parents and students have to go directly into your College Board account or your ACT account and send them. It costs money to do that. Even though you have already typed it in probably by hand to the Common App or to the school's own application, this is the only way that sending standardized test scores is official. So you need to make sure that you go ahead and do that. And you can do that right now if you wanted to, if there's places you definitely knew you were going to apply to. If this is the first piece of information they get on a student, that's fine. For Rutgers, Rutgers is the school to which our students apply to the most. And as of last year, they finally accept the common application, which is great. And it was also a little bad. It's great because the ease of use is certainly much easier than how things were previously. The bad part was that, along with the popularity of their football team, they got about 66,000 applications last year. So it was an increasingly difficult year to get into Rutgers. But them being on the Common App certainly is a logistical positive for us. Something just to call your attention to, students can pull up their transcripts in Genesis, and on their transcript in the top middle is their state student ID. That 10-digit state student ID is what Rutgers calls the NJ Smart ID. So students should be aware of that when they are applying to Rutgers. Something else that Rutgers wants from our students, and other schools want it as well, Penn State, a bunch of the big schools, really. You're going to go to a different website called Self-Reported Academic Record. You'll create an account with them, and then you will list the schools to which you are applying in SRAR, and you will type in again, even though you've already done it in the Common App, you'll do it again here in SRAR, and you'll type in the classes you took, the grades you got, and the classes that you're taking as a senior, You'll submit that, and the colleges will see it. And apparently it just is a more visually pleasing thing for the college admissions counselors on their end when they view it on a computer. So it's their world we have to live in, unfortunately. So let's take some stock. What are the counselor going to do? Counselor is going to write a letter of recommendation after they get that transcript request from the students. And as long as we follow these steps 1 through 7, we are going to be fine in doing that. Teachers, once they get that letter of recommendation request that was done in step 7, they are going to write the letter, upload it, and send it to wherever you have indicated that they should send it. Now, something that I kind of didn't touch on when we were talking about letters of recommendation is that there's going to be a time when we have a school that only accepts one letter of recommendation. So it'll say 1 minimum, 1 maximum, and students need to take good care to make sure that they select the correct teacher that they want their letter to go to that school. Because if you select the wrong teacher and then that teacher submits that letter, we have no way to undo that. So let's just make sure that we're paying attention to which... Our bell system is lovely. Which teacher we are selecting for which school. And also, counselors have no ability to monitor this process. So it's really, if you're concerned that a teacher has not written a letter, your child needs to go directly to the teacher to follow up on that. So some do's and don'ts here. These tasks that we just set out, obviously I've given the long-winded explanation of all of these things and why we're doing them and all that stuff, and we've only been here for not all that long, maybe only about 25-30 minutes. So to set out and actually complete these tasks for you guys, the parent point of view, should take you a short amount of time, and the student brag sheet should be the thing that takes the students the longest amount of time. The rest of the items that they need to complete should take them 2 or 3 minutes if they're clicking through. Here's a don't. Parents, don't ever pick up the phone and call a college on a student's behalf during the application process. If they have a question about something related to the application, they should be the ones emailing or calling, not you. Colleges keep track of that. It is a bit of a red flag when a parent is contacting a college and not the student. The time when you could get involved is after you've been accepted to a college and now you're talking financial aid with the institution. That is a good time as a parent for you to get involved. This one is pretty important, following directions. For those, let's use letters of recommendation as an example. For those schools where it's a 2 minimum, 2 maximum, but you have that third recommendation from a dance instructor or something like that, and you say, you know what, I'm just going to print this thing out and throw it in the mail and give it to them, and if they don't want it, they can throw it out and whatever. So I mentioned Rutgers gets 66,000 applications. What if every single one of those applications did that? What does 66,000 pieces of paper even look like? Where would they put it? Something that we hear all the time from college admissions counselors is, please tell your students just to follow the directions. Don't tell them that they don't know more than we do what we want. We know what we want. If we were going to accept more than what we want from them, we would just have that be what we want. So these things seem intuitive, but please just follow the directions. So in the same way that we are not going to inundate them with things they don't want, we are definitely going to do all the things that they might want. So there are always going to be some things within any application, an optional 100-word statement about something in your personal life, whatever that is. Students should read optional as required. And the last thing I want to spend a couple minutes on is our essay. I think the essay is pretty important. And the example that I used with the kids was, think about something that you do every day. For me, when I wake up in the morning, I get up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, my toothpaste and my mouthwash are over here, and then I put my contacts in, and my toothbrush and my contacts are over here. So if one morning I went over to my sink and my contacts, which are always over here, were over here, I would look and say, somebody's been in my bathroom. Now, no one else, if you didn't know what my process was, would know. Nobody else would know that my contacts were on the wrong side of the sink. But it was very easy for me to spot that because it's something I do every day. How easy or difficult do we think it is for a college admissions counselor who reads tens of thousands of essays a year to spot when it is an adult, a parent or a college admissions counselor who has written the essay for a child? It's very easy for them to spot it. They do it every day. So please keep that in mind when students are writing their essay. The other thing that I believe very strongly is when it comes to essays is that this does not need to be a referendum on how closely you paid attention in English class. So you're going to use 3 semicolons and every part of speech that you could possibly imagine to show how wonderful a writer you are. I don't think that's the goal of the essay. I think the goal of the essay is twofold. One is to certainly show, not just tell somebody why you're going to be successful, but show them examples of why you're going to be successful from things that you've done already in your life that were meaningful to you. But it's also to be interesting. The vast majority of college admissions counselors in the country is 25 years old or younger. So when we just think about basic humanity, what's the attention span of somebody in their mid-20s? It's probably not that much greater than your own child's right now. So being interesting while conveying this information is a pretty important piece of it. And if you can keep that college admissions counselor reading from the beginning to the end, and not because it's funny or maybe just because it's meaningful. So if you or your child is reading that essay and you get to the end of the essay and you go, okay, that probably checks off a bunch of boxes of stuff that we think they might want us to write, which is a terrible way to approach it. But if you're like, it's a little boring, you need to start over. You need to make it interesting. Best advice I could possibly give you. So this presentation, we have boiled it down into a college application packet. So this presentation, along with that packet, is already posted in their Guidance Google Classroom for the class of 2025. And in that packet is actually a checklist of the items that we just went over in this presentation today, so you can check those things off, because we know people like checking things off, and that's a great thing. On the last page of that packet, there are frequently asked questions. How many kids are in the senior class? What's the correct contact information for certain people? Things like that. All that stuff is already in there. We are going to encourage you to read that. If you want to take down this, the Montgomery Guidance Class of 25 Google Classroom, there it is. And again, you can find this presentation along with the college application packet right in there. So I am hopeful that if there were questions that I wasn't monitoring in the chat, that all got taken care of for you. And if there's any other questions, we will get to them probably one-on-one with our students. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a wonderful college application season for the class of 2025, and we are here to help. So please, always shoot us an email. Let us know what we can do. Thanks.